Well, I suppose the question on everyone's mind now is, could that have possibly gone any worse? And no, I do believe the general answer to that is no, as 2025 has been one of the shittest years for a while now. Which is why I have elected to start with this wonderful metaphor of the year 2025. Using a motion capture suit to kick yourself in the groin. uh, it's it's rather fitting, isn't it? Genuinely so. Considering, I mean, this isn't even going to be the worst year, but this is where we've all started in on it, and the development of artificial intelligence is no doubt going to crack us all in the nuts with a rather ferocious force over the course of the next few years. Hell, if the current development is anything to go by, it's probably going to be a significantly more severe blow than most of us are willing to anticipate as well. So, you know, bear that in mind. Oh, God. Okay, AI will be a whole topic in and of itself, and especially the economic consequences that the AI rush is going to have. But, you know, first, let's start with something bright and optimistic, shall we? My favorite part of 2025. Can you argue? Can anyone argue that this wasn't the best thing to come out of the year? I don't think so. I genuinely think this was probably the single best moment of the year, which also establishes a rather low hurdle for everything, as the sheer amount of memeage that came out of this event was quite delectable. Now, the fact that a moment of outright animal abuse conducted by a Turk for money is the highlight of 2025 should yet again illustrate the rather abysmal nature of the year. But listen, you take the wins where you can get them these days, don't you? And hey, on the bright side, we are not actually celebrating animal abuse in and of itself. We're not the Streamer Awards or anything. No. We are celebrating the end of animal abuse, as after the zapping incident, suddenly you will notice that the dog is no longer featured on his streams anymore. How strange. The dog was sitting there throughout stream after stream for hours and hours at a time, somehow never being tired, never needing to get up and walk about or anything, and yet now, the dog is a moose. Well, for all we know, the dog could have been eaten, but it's more likely that it's actually finally been allowed to walk the house rather than being tortured to sit in place for 6 hours of screaming at Asmongold. So hey, everything has a silver lining, and everything has a good ending, right? That wasn't all bad. 2025 was only 98% terrible. It's always important to bear that in mind, right? So, let's get started on some of the serious stuff, shall we? Beginning with probably the most defining part of 2025, the Trumphalophagus second term as President of these United States of America. So, I think this is, what was it? I looked this up before. It's only like the second or third time or something that a president who sat one term, lost the second, came back to actually win a second term afterwards, or a third term, or whatever the hell you call it. But to put it blatantly, this is a rarity, and goes some way to demonstrate the failures of the preceding regime. With Biden, I mean, the fact that Biden even was elected wasn't so much a repudiation of Trump's policies as it was a well, he is very mean on the television. Perhaps the old man who barely knows where he is half the time would be a better outward-facing persona for the rest of the world. And hey, he absolutely was. Biden was a fantastic diplomat for the rest of the world, in that everybody felt safe to do whatever the fuck they wanted with him in charge, including starting a massive war in Ukraine, for which we're all still paying for. But oh well, Trump was mean on television, so what does it matter that all of the prices on foodstuffs increased by about 400%? It's not a big deal. It's fine. But the return of the Trump-lophagus has not been an unmitigated success, I will argue. He has done quite a bit, and the fact that this is still his first year feels almost a little bit surreal, because so much has actually happened in 2025. My and many others' primary complaint about the Trump-lophagus during his first term was that he wasn't aggressive enough. We hired him to be a bull in the china shop, and he behaved more like a dainty little poodle wandering about. Well, he does seem to have learned his lesson on that regard, for better or worse, as there are definitely some downsides as well. And the very first downside is, of course, DOGE. Right, so, DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. I know that I myself and everybody else was very hopeful about this, okay? This seemed like a good idea. The government is enormously bloated. We all know it's hilariously bloated, and we all know that it's wasting a truly phenomenal quantity of money every single solitary year. Hell, just this year, they needed to raise the debt ceiling again, which is basically just a tacit admission that, yeah, no, America's doing shit. It continues to grow in ever deeper debt, and our only apparent solution to the ever-increasing debt is to take on yet more debt. A fantastic long-term solution, absolutely, that rests basically entirely upon the United States' ability to bomb anyone that actually calls them on aforementioned debt. And considering the upcoming struggles with the United Nations, yeah, but anyways, DOGE, of course, was a promissory salvation, right? It was a great idea. They promised savings of $2 trillion. Fan-fucking-tastic. This is obviously what the US does need, because at this point, the mere payment of interest on loans are burying the US forever. It needs deep and substantial cuts across virtually the entirety of government. In fact, that 47-day period in which there was no US government was probably the best period in recent fucking history. And that was the thing too. What was remarkable was, during most governmental shutdowns in America, you hear all kinds of horror stories about how everything went wrong. This time, the government was shut down for over a month, 47 days, and everyone was kind of like, what's happening? Why do we have this government thing at all? What is its purpose at this point? It's a very fucking good question, but unfortunately, it didn't slash 2 trillion in funding. It didn't slash 1 trillion in funding. And it ended up at 150 billion. Yeah. And again, myself and many others basically predicted this exact outcome. The machine would see this effort to try to do something, and it would crush it. It would bury it in paperwork, it would smother it in red tape, and at the end of the day, it would achieve nothing. And that is precisely what happened. It achieved nothing. Even the $150 billion that it did save was all washed directly down the toilet, yet again, with one of the largest payment spending bills in US history. It was, at the end of the day, purely performative. And I do hope there was actually some goodwill behind it and an actual effort to try and do something, but well, nothing was actually done, that being the problem. Also, Boog, 50 Max says, thank you very much. Happy New Year. Hope you all bought RAM SSDs and even phones, because the air bubbles make them possible to buy unless they are Chinese spyware. Yes, I would highly recommend everybody actually get some spare chips. A RAM, graphic card, hell, even a spare computer outright if you can afford it. So Loxon 2026 better be the year Trump and Republicans get stuff done, or 2A people will start. Right, so... No, that's not going to happen. I can pretty much guarantee you that because, well, this little cartoon perfectly encapsulates exactly what happened the last year. The Republicans were given a devastating majority to do anything they wanted, literally anything, uproot the entire fucking system if they so choose. And for the umpteenth time, the Conservatives looked upon the power in their hands and decided, no, I shall not use this power. I shall not do what I've been given a mandate to do. I shall instead facilitate back and forth aggressively for a time until I inevitably lose the House because I have done nothing. I have achieved nothing, and I have completed none of the promises I made. See, this is the fundamental problem with the entire idea of conservatives right now in the Western world in general. The conservatives have no idea what it is they are attempting to conserve. And so the entire identity of their being simply becomes, well, whatever the left wing wants us to do, but a little bit slower. Like, we want to mutate your children, absolutely, or, mutate, what's the word? Maim? There we go. There we go. Maim your children. We do want that. We want to chop off their penises and their breasts, etc. We're all for it, but in 5 years' time, come on, let's not rush into the maiming of children. That's just unreasonable. Yes, unfortunately. Although I will give US the DOGE credit for something, and that is US aid and the shutting down of US aid. The malcontent DOGE did tell us about the mine. That's true. It did tell us about the governmental bureaucracy lime mines. It did do that. Real Zartax, hear me out. I know how to fix this. More immigration. That is always a fine solution, yes. Donald Logan, if nothing else, you can't blame him for trying. Correct. You know, it was a good idea, poorly executed, and it didn't end up doing anything, but it's not like you can't do it either. Like, what needs to happen is Doge 2.0 with actual power to do something, and with people behind it willing to do something. As here's the thing. Zaloxon 2A, it is then can't votes change. Boog, Zartax is right. We need more visas for Indians. We need more Somalis in Israel. So, what needs to happen is more cuts along a brutal line. So US aid was an excellent thing to cut, for the simple reason that I don't give a shit about the lives that could be lost due to Trump aid cuts. I know that sounds mean. I know that sounds cold-hearted, but I don't fucking care. I don't give a shit anymore. And there's been so many things like this website here, for example, 88 deaths an hour because of the cuts to USA, 124 adults, 258,000 children have died because you, greedy Americans, aren't paying for the third world's healthcare anymore. How can you live with yourself? How darest thou? Well, because we need the money more. Fuck you. Really. It is that fucking simple. I don't care. I don't give a shit. There is no more humanity left on me on this front for the arbitrary numbers. You cannot paint a little number in red lines and go, oh, look at the dead children, and expect me to pay you. It doesn't work anymore. The West has poured uncountable trillions into Africa and the Middle East for years and years. We don't even know how much money we've spent. We don't have a figure on the number of US tax dollars that have gone to America. No, to America. Well, actually, no, we don't have a figure on that either, probably. On the amount of money spent in Africa. The European Union doesn't. We don't know. We haven't got a clue. All we know is that it's way north of several $trillion. And what has it achieved? Nothing. Fucking nothing. The most optimistic assessment you can have after pouring trillions of dollars into this continent is that we have managed to sustain and keep alive a system that should have collapsed to everyone's benefit 50 years ago. It's simply not fucking worth it. It's that easy. All of the virtue signaling in the world, all of the fake crying, all of the toxic empathy cannot change the fact that the West needs the money now. We are no longer in a position of affluent wealth, largely because of our efforts to first save the Third World and then adopt the Third World into Europe. We are no longer in a position to help. We haven't been in a position to help for a very long time. And the only thing that can be possibly done by continuing to aid is to bury ourselves even deeper until there will be nothing left at all. There's no point in this. And I could not care less about the allegations as well. And I'm believing it too, that these date updated June 2022, English, 26, 2025. If this really was so important, don't you think they would have updated it at some point in the last 6 months or something? Most of these numbers are pulled out of their own fucking assholes. So, yeah, no. Trump administration cut 92% of US aid foreign aid contracts? Good. And if there are any further foreign aid contracts to be cut them now. Cut them immediately. I don't want to see foreign aid cut by 92%. I want to see it cut by 100%. Not just in America, in Europe, in all of these countries. All of it. I don't give a shit about, oh, but it's just 1% of the budget. I don't care. It's all irrelevant to me. Spend the money at home first. And then, in another 20 years' time, once our countries have stabilized, we can revisit the topic. Up until then, no. Simple as. And the Trump for Lovers has also done a good number on things like immigration. Trump's first year sees immigration detention numbers reach unprecedented levels. Congratulations. This is the first step to even having any hope to begin cutting costs in the US. You need more DOGE, you need more cost cutting, you need more tax cuts. Well, yeah, no, you do actually need more tax cuts, you need more money in the goddamn economy. You need more tariffs, you need all of these things, but reducing the number of people who enter your country illegally is obviously a part of it. The amount, what was it? I think one of the statistics was in one area where ICE went on raids, 50% of the restaurants were employing illegals. I think it was over 50. At that point, you have replaced 50% plus of the native populace in the workforce with illegals. If you somehow think that isn't negatively affecting the economy at large, well, you're probably a progressive and you've probably never even heard the word economy before. Importing millions of people into a country that usually offer very little in the way of services and usually just simply drain the system more so than anything is not a solution to the economic woes of the West or America. Cutting immigration, however, is a very good start, and Trump has been effective in that. Boog, but Pam Bondi said she had files on her desk. Ah, yes, the Epstein files. I guess we have to talk about that too. Brandon, this whole year has been disappointment after disappointment from Trump. No one is punished, no one goes to jail, nothing ever happens. Now, that is a big disappointment, yes. After all of the things that DOGE supposedly revealed, where are the arrests? Where are the people being held responsible? Who the hell was thrown into the limestone mines of bureaucracy and sealed in there for 100 years? No consequences. Real Zartax, what I'd like to see is how many lives that money could have saved spent properly. Then subtract this number to see how many lives the aid cost. No one? Foreign aid always ends up aiding the local tyrants. Africa will be better off without subsidizing their tyranny. In fact, there was even an interesting article written from an African perspective about this. We covered it in a video this year where I think it was Mr. Beast's well building project, right? So let me find that. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Yes. So, Mr. Beast, of course, built wells in Africa, which was a rather famous little stunt of his, as he does. That's basically what he literally does. And hey, why not? Right? Building wells in Africa is a good thing, one would think. But there's been a lot of critique of it, and after the wells were built, a lot of them also were quickly put out of use because, well, the locals weren't able to maintain them. And there was an interesting article from the perspective of a local African businesswoman basically saying that this did more harm than good, because whenever a village needed water and a European came in and gave it to them, the community would never actually learn how to get water for themselves. The African well-building companies wouldn't be able to do anything because they were relying entirely upon European philanthropists. Whenever these wells then eventually needed maintenance, none was available after a year, as I do believe Mr. Beast paid for their maintenance in a year's advance as well. But once that money is gone, who's going to fix it? And who's going to build the companies that are going to fix it? If again a European company goes in and builds all of this and leaves again after a year, where is the incentives for the local populace to begin any of these businesses themselves? It had created a system of toxic codependency, where the Europeans come in, they build the stuff the Africans want, they feel good about themselves, they leave. The Africans then don't maintain it, use it until it breaks, and then sit there going, wow, what is this? What is this weird hard surface? The foreigners call it roads. We have no idea how to make more, but it's there. Might as well use it until it breaks. And again, I cannot recommend enough the movie Empire of Dust to illustrate this problem. And literally, at this point, we have tried the simply give them money thing. We have tried the simply build civilization for them thing. We've attempted this now for like 100+ years. It hasn't worked. And hey, you could easily argue the last few thousands years of natural human evolution hasn't produced anything either, but unless you want us to actually restart full-on colonialism, that's probably our only actual option, as the only other alternative is apparently some form of eternal dependency, where the First World will forevermore be required to continuously feed and water the Third World for, well, all eternity. And the worst part is, oh god. Well, can I find that real quick? Let me see. I don't know if I can find it. I don't remember the exact wording. I can now. But anyways, there was an event as well where so the EU did what the EU does every few years and argued about the climate. Like, oh God, it's getting warmer. We must do something. And they grant billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, which they just give away to third world countries. Like, oh, hey, have this, build infrastructure, build power grids, build green energy. We're just going to give you $200 billion to do this for free. Just do it. And India, fucking India, had the balls to go, you're not doing enough, EU. We deserve more of your money. Have you seen how filthy our nation is? We dump plastic directly into the river. We fucking shit in our waterways, okay? We have needed to invent, or well, more correctly, you Europeans have needed to invent technology to clean our rivers of fucking plastic. And you're gonna give us only $150 billion to fix this? We are far filthier than that. It's the kind of situation that makes you wonder if it wouldn't be far more economical to glass the entire fucking continent. Like, think about it. Okay, right. We have global warming, right? That's a problem. The Earth is getting too hot. Okay, well, I have a revolutionary idea of this. What if we took nuclear weapons and we used them to aerosolize a huge quantity of dirt and toss it up into the atmosphere? That way, we'd create sort of like a localized, controlled mini nuclear winter, which would cool down the planet as it would block more of the sun's rays, right? And it just so happens that one of the primary producers of plastic in the oceans, which are destroying the fish's habitat and polluting our world, well, it also contains a large quantity of soil we could aerosolize. Really, if we're talking about purely green methodology here, nuking India repeatedly is the quickest and easiest way to fix global warming. I'm just saying, if we really want to fix this planet of ours, turning India into one enormous crater would be a fantastic beginning, and the fishers would thank us. So ask yourself this. What matters most to us? The colorful fishes down in their reefs or Indians? I'm just saying. I'm just pointing out the obvious here. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying. Let's see. Right, we're off to a good start. Off to a good start that will not get me struck on YouTube or anything. But yes, to return to the topic of immigration, immigrants now have fewer legal options to stay in the US under Trump. Good. Immigrants have now fewer legal options to stay in the US. Good. They should have precisely uno legal option to stay in the US, and that is seeking asylum. That is the only sole singular legal option you should have to come to the country and go, okay, I am persecuted in my country of origin. If I go back, they are going to slowly burn me over a fire whilst feeding my fingers to crocodiles. That should be the singular legal option to enter the US right now. Unless, the Trump gold card thing where he's like, invest $1 billion and we'll give you citizenship. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. If some guy is willing to give the US economy $1 billion in return for being allowed to live there, fuck yes. Every country on Earth right now is doing whatever it can to scare away its rich people. If America can go, hey, come over here, pay us $250,000 in taxes, and it'll still be half of what you pay anywhere else, good. Trump's immigration enforcement record so far, by the numbers, and it is beautiful. Look at that. Is that not just absolutely fantastic? And I do love how they paint it in blood red as well. Like, oh my god, he's kicking out illegal immigrants. How dare he? What a terrible human being. How could he? ICE detention has grown sharply under Trump. Yeah. Oh, fucking beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Line go up. Line go up. Line go up further. I mean, hell, only 60,000? Come on, there's more illegals than that in the US. Step on it, Trump. Increase the size of ICE yet further. Trump Immigration Agency flags 182 national security risk issues, recorded 196,000 notices to appear in 2025, as they're arresting people at an ever greater rate. And they're giving them their legal rights, which is also hilarious, by the way, that you as a non-US citizen have the ability to go to a US court and go, I want to stay. And half the time, the liberal fucking judges might actually let you. And this one too. 7 in 10 ICE arrests under Trump have criminal histories. Good. See, and here's the thing too. I don't give a shit about the whole criminal histories thing, because this is often spun as if it is somehow a negative thing, right? It's like, oh, no, you can't do that. But if they don't have criminals, if they don't have, what was it this article? Yes. Look at this. Look at this. So, southern border crossings. Previous year, 100,000, 200,000. Under Biden. Fucking hell. And this is on like a monthly basis right here. And then under Trump, 9,000. That's still 9,000 too many, but it's a hell of a lot better than, let's see, what was that? 302,000. Like, the entire population of Norway has crossed the southern US border, like, in 6 months at rates like this. It is absolutely absurd. But, you know, the idea, too, is like, oh, but only some of the people arrested have criminal records. Why are you arresting the non-criminal illegals? Because they're illegals? I'm just saying, by definition, they're criminals. I'm just saying that by definition, 100% of the arrests have criminal records. Literally every single one of them. Absolutely all. Every last fucking singular one is a criminal. So don't, and the fact that 70% of them are also criminals in some other way kind of only hammers home the point that you should have been doing this a long fucking time ago. Jeez. Absolute fucking jeez. I need to start marking this by night. Try to remember where the hell I actually was. Oh. We just want to... The malcontent. We just wanted more. Trump has done a lot, but the swamp is just too deep. He still has 3 years left. Yes. So basically, the entire thing that all of the critique of Trump boils down to is more, please. More. Okay, you rooted out some government corruption and you cut away some of it. Okay, this is cool. However, I would like every person who worked at US Aid to be in jail now, please. All of them. Yes, even the clerks. Yes, even the people just signing the checks. I don't care. All of them. I am way beyond the idea of better to let a guilty man go than an innocent suffer. No. We have very much so hit the point of just arbitrary punishment to create, you know, disincentives for future generations. So Noxon can't take a black pill right now, watch later. Well, at least there's some upsides. The real Zartex, yes, the African baker who saved up to buy a dozen ovens to make and sell bread, all for his extended family to eat all of it. Also, that Izart post, yes, the Izart stream was a wonderful one too. Donald Logan, I like to blame the old guard in the GOP. They are nothing more than beautiful losers and cowards. They can't do anything but complain and lose. And yes, that is very much so a point as well. There is far too much of an element of noble sacrifice on the right wing. The idea of the beautiful loser. Of like, well, it sounds really mean. 250,000 people have died because we cut US aid? I mean, yeah, yes, that was a number literally pulled out of some NGO's fucking ass, sure, but oh my god, isn't that like we just killed them? Okay. Would you like to do it the good old-fashioned way? We can organize that. There are options, but you can't fucking care anymore. We are not at that point anymore. If anything, you should think about the fact that these people were codependent on you. They were dependent on you. If you hadn't been providing all of this aid to begin with, odds are far better that the local populace would have looked at their barren fields and gone, right, I shouldn't have 12 kids right now. Can't probably feed them. In fact, I'll probably have to feed on them rather than anything. Instead, they look at the barren fields with no water and go, no, I should have 12 kids because some American idiot is going to send me 12 bags of rice for free every fucking month. Soon enough, the UN has managed to make a poverty big business, also making whole countries dependent upon them like drug addicts, also rooting for the destruction of the countries footing the bill. And there too, like drug addicts, correct. All of these countries are dependent upon a never-ending stream of foreign aid, and that is the purpose, that is the point. Do you remember the, oh god, do you remember the fucking post? This wasn't this year, this was a couple of years ago. The EU person who atted Elon Musk on Twitter and went, listen, if you give us like, what was it, $100 billion or something, we'll end world poverty. Remember that one? And Musk was like, okay, if you can actually give me a plan, a genuine plan that will end world poverty, world hunger, excuse me, with $100 billion. I was like, what was it? Let me see if I can find that. If I can find that one. No, that was not even $100 billion, $6 billion. What the fuck? Yeah, no, there we go. Right, so, yeah, no, this way here. So, $6 billion. The EU claimed they'd be able to end world hunger with $6 billion. Now, unless you are a complete moron, you know already that that's not going to happen whatsoever. And Elon went, okay, explain how you're going to do it. And the explanation they did give him was basically, sorry, it's $6.6 billion, so $7 billion, right? So the explanation they gave him was, listen, if you give us $6 billion like every year for all of eternity, then we'll end world hunger. Maybe, possibly, in 50 years or something. And of course, they never actually put out a plan that could do this. It was all pure pie-in-the-sky idiocy nonsense that would never achieve a third of what they promised. And that is the point. Nobody wants to solve this. There are countless EU bureaucrats earning hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, fuck monthly, some of them probably, on organizing these aid shipments. On all, like the amount of NGOs, oh god. The most misleading term on planet Earth is non-profit organization. No such thing. Absolutely no such thing whatsoever. An NGO is simply a company that takes donations, doesn't pay taxes, pays their employees millions, and then spends whatever is left over after the employees have drained the bank account dry, and they use that to buy a popsicle stick for a starving African child. And then they'll film it and go, Timmy's dying, he's still dying, you gotta give us more money or we'll fucking watch him croak again. Which, has always been something particularly fascinating about that. Like, let me see if I can find this picture I'm thinking of. Yes, here we go. Right, so this picture. Right, this picture. Some of you may have seen this before because it was a worldwide phenomenon when it was taken. It's quite old. I think it's like maybe 90s, early 2000s. But like this went around the world and saw people spend, again, billions on sending money to Africa. Because, oh my god, the child, he's starving. And the vulture is like, ha ha, I'm going to eat your ass. And this is immediately aimed towards the empathy center of your brain, going like, oh god, I've got to help that child. I got to spend my money. Money, give. And nobody then thinks to ask themselves, hold on. There's a photographer there. There's a guy standing nearby, like, just watching this. Like, look, that small black child's about to be fucking eaten. Nobody thinks about that. You now have people embedding themselves in these communities purely to produce, in essence, vast quantities of fucking torture porn so that they can sell it to Western people, so that they can feel bad and then assuage their guilt for a situation they have literally nothing to do with whatsoever on any plane of existence, and then feel better about it. Oh, I gave $25. That child will be fine now. That child has already been eaten. Because by the time the photographer looked at his camera and went, wow, I'm gonna earn millions of this, then he turned around and walked away. Because that is all this is. It is one ginormous fucking scam. That is all it is. The entirety of it is a scam. And it preys upon your emotions to get at your credit card. Every year that has gone by has made me more and more hateful of fucking foreign aid, I swear to God. I just don't see any point anymore. I just don't see any point. Boog, I know giving them money and building their civilization hasn't worked, but what if we brought all of them over to our civilization? Surely they'll become doctors and lawyers. Oh, absolutely. I mean, hey, saving Africa hasn't worked because, well, it's Africa, okay? We can't make Africa livable. It's just one of the most wealthy and prosperous continents on Earth, with the largest numbers of natural resources anywhere else. It's literally sitting on unfathomable quantities of diamonds, gold, rare minerals, metals up the wazoo, fertile valleys and long rivers that you could grow endless crops in. In fact, that is exactly what the South African farmers did. The entire tale of South African farmers is arriving in an area that everybody else looked at and went, oof, we can't live there, and turning it into the most vibrant economy on the fucking continent by the revolutionary idea of planting shit. And then planting more shit. And simply continuing this process until you're wealthy. Africa is entirely responsible for its own woes, and nothing we can do, short of simply colonizing them, is going to solve it. Ochigado, so you are saying support Pakistan. You know what? Fuck it. Why not? Why not? At least that'll pacify the population for a while. Well, the Jack Enlightened Art has reached his anti-Jeet phase. Praise be Arch. Arias, I stand by my claim that the collapse of the British Empire was the biggest change in the history of industrial humanity. Before that, Rome, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see it. I can definitely see it. Mallory, I approve the Genghis Khan style of fighting global warming. Also, I saw your last two streams on Asmongold videos. In that top right, who is live at Xbox? Thanks for milking farm. Yes, I saw that too. Orc War Chief Reviews, any plans talking on the fact that Justin Trudeau, former Prime Minister of Canada, is now dating Katy Perry? That can't be real. That can't be Pitt. That it's real. Right. Well, okay then. I don't even have any further commentary on that. Beyond that, hey, they're both progressives, so yay for them, presumably. Yes, yay for them. Yay for them indeed. Alright, can't forget about Kick either. Johnny Ryu for 1,000 warp tokens. Thank you very much, sir. Signs of recovery are finally more apparent. People in X are signing with the humans in Avatar and theory crafting outside of the sloppy plot. Yes, although I have noticed a lot of... Okay, so I'm going to need to do another video on this because, I figured it was pretty obvious that Awa was evil, right? Surely. And it's only been made more apparent with the more lore splurges that have come out recently about Ava forbidding the avatars, the Na'vi, from engaging in technology. It's obviously a parasitic entity, right? We know this because they literally have parasitic connection to other animals and fucking enslave them. It's obviously a parasitic entity. And yet, I've seen people on Twitter now go like... Ava's actually really good, okay? She's perfect. And I'm thinking, like, hold on. Who could possibly look at a parasitic central entity that controls every aspect of your life and renders you into an eternal servile state of unending primitivity and go, yes, that's for me? Unless that's literally the entire promise of socialism. It is. There's no society, there's no better than you, there's no hierarchy, there's no class, everyone's just a monkey living in a tree, and everybody is continued to be a monkey. The continuation of the monkey living in trees is perpetuated for eternity by a tree god that if you try to break with their tradition will simply burn your forest to dust. I see now why the socialists like Awa so much. Nolly for 500 warp tokens. The entire Africa situation is a massive demonstration of the old saying, give a man a fish or teach a man to fish. Yes. And another 500 warp tokens. It's not just you, Arch. Been watching the good old school thermostat Asmongold is also reaching the uncaring Italian state of mind. Indeed. If the next 4 years, or the next 3 years, of Donald Trump's tenure will finally allow all of us to simply arrive at Menefrego, then he has achieved enough. He has done his due diligence and service to humanity. Rivner. Hi, Ashley. Happy change of the year in advance. I'm glad this year's finally over. Also, don't scroll. Don't do that. Do it. We need more shovels for the Discord server. Martinez, how many people died in the US because those USAID funds were not invested internally? Well, few $100 billion. I'm sure they could have paid for a few hospital beds. Oliver Nord, you could spare the USAID employees that were just CIA undercovers using a convenient front. US agencies still need to be able to cooperate, don't they? True. How else are we going to fund drug wars in Venezuela? Monomia Hack. Hey, can't stick around, have to catch this later. Would you be willing to react to Sorda's Operation Sunburst by chance? Possibly? The Jard, catching a Biden cheater. They found that over 300,000 votes were illegal recently. Trump looks to have been captured by the Nose tribe. I don't even know. It seems like there's something new about that every month, and I'm not going to get into any of it, because there's too much nonsense about it. Let me put that. Phoenix Point. There we go. And Sandoom, been a member for 25 months. Thank you, sir. Behind the image of the starving African child and village is the photographer and his fully staffed catering tent set up with a rotisserie chicken. Correct. Tiago Prizes Solvia. Hi from Portugal. Hello. Orinalva. This is a result of global TDS. The liberal world order lost 2024, so it needs 2025 and got it. 2026 is going to be insane. It might very well be. Glowman, DOGE, 2 electric boogaloo. Somali daycare edition should justify all the aid cuts and government spending cuts. Congress, right, needs to do this. Investigate people like Tim Walz that are defending this shit. And yes, the investigations are the next step that needs to be taken. So, there's also the tariffs, which is a whole other separate issue. The tariffs so far, what have they achieved? Well, the US trade volume is down. So the US is getting less money in terms of raw trade. The tariff income is, of course, up. As you can see here, so this is the tariffs collected. The tariffs have gone up significantly, but you can see the trade deficit also has gone down significantly. So the tariffs are obviously doing exactly what tariffs are intended to do, and close a trade deficit. Simple as. Now, you could then argue that trade volume means that there's less money changing hands, and this is bad long-term for the economy, and very much so possibly. But here's the simple truth. When a nation like the US is a primary buyer of goods and services, then it will forever be dependent upon the producers of those goods and services. Now, this then leads into a larger economic issue, which is, if you do not have a manufacturing base in your country, your economy will inevitably begin to slow and collapse and or become entirely dependent upon foreign imports. This is why America has the enormous amount of debt that it does, because it can't earn money for itself. The only way to encourage manufacturing to return to the US is to simply make it non-profitable to do that manufacturing in foreign countries. Or to put it very, very, very fucking blatantly, if it costs $15 to make and sell a t-shirt in America, and it costs $5 to make and sell a t-shirt in China, that t-shirt has to have a $10 tariff on it. Otherwise, nobody's going to make t-shirts in America. It's literally that simple. And this is simply a case of America first, where America goes, okay, no, we need manufacturing industry. We cannot be reliant on our primary strategic enemy for our imports. And Germany did that. Germany was primarily reliant on Russia for their oil and gas. And how did that work out? Exactly again. This is not a mystery. This is not difficult. By any stretch of the imagination, everybody knows, everybody understands this. Even people completely uneducated in economic matters can understand this simple fact. And so, tariffs are necessary. Is it going to hurt the economy? Fuck yeah, it is. Absolutely. Of course it is. There's no way around it. But that's because this should have been done 50 years ago. Because it wasn't done, even more strident measures must be put in place today. And the entire argument basically boils down to, but it'll hurt. Ripping off the Band-Aid will be painful. Well, yes, it will, because you've allowed it to fester. We can see the green pus oozing out from underneath the wound, and complaining about pain now is frankly fucking irrelevant. It is rip off the Band-Aid or chop off the arm. Simple. A lot of Trump's policies are going to hurt short term, and that is my primary concern with it as well. The American public has not demonstrated a very high ability to suffer short-term loss for long-term gain. And what Trump is basically doing is like a 10-year plan on a 4-year presidency. So I'm very worried about the actual outcome of all of this, but I do believe it is necessary. Another good thing, withdrawing from the World Health Organization, the Paris Agreement. So, the World Health Organization is probably the most controversial of the two, because it is indeed sensible for the world to have a unified health organization because of the existence of global pandemics. And it's much easier to have the ability to go like, okay, this is the vaccine for this strain of virus, for this flu, whatever. It's just a global standard, everybody gets it. It is a good way to manage what is a hazard to all. But the World Health Organization proved itself incapable of doing what it was supposed to do, and that was handle a global pandemic. It failed. It demonstrated that it was not fit for purpose, and so it should have been abolished. Simple as. But instead, because of the European in all of this, we've got to continue to laud the institutions even in a state of failure. No, the institution has no value. The World Health Organization has absolutely zero intrinsic value. It's not an ancient, venerable organization. It's not traditional. It wasn't created by wiser men 1,000 years ago. It's a tool crafted by bureaucrats to fix a particular issue. Well, the tool has proven itself to be defective, so you throw out the fucking tool and you build a better one. It's that simple. As for the Paris Climate Accord, or the Paris Agreement, I went through that years ago and I made a video on it. The Paris Climate Accord achieves nothing. And the only thing it does is bind the countries in the West to poorer and poorer treaties, whilst giving the East, like China, freer and freer hands. Back then, for example, the agreement was that America would stop producing coal and China would continue to produce more coal. That was the agreement. Why would China not sign on to a treaty that fucks their primary competitor and does nothing but benefit them? It is a scam, yet again, and should never have been signed in the first place. And Trumfalufga's single greatest achievement, honestly, and he should have won the Nobel Prize for this, was ending the Israel-Iran conflict. So, this kicked off with various nuclears, well, that would have been funny, various rocket launches from Iran towards Israel and Israel to Iran, picking away at one another. This war was escalating day by day by day, with more strikes, more rockets fired, etc. And then Trump simply went, no, how about all of you just stop fighting? He sent in several B-2 stealth bombers, made an absolute mockery of the Iranian air defense systems, flew in, demonstrated an ability to bomb their most guarded targets, and just left. This was a masterpiece of strategic force application, because here's what it did. It gave Iran an excuse to back down. It didn't do any serious damage, because if it did, Iran could not back down. It was instead simply a, hey, I can do this, and if you make me, I'm simply gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna bomb your thing, I'm not gonna destroy it, because a couple of bunker busters isn't going to destroy a huge multi-storage facility, obviously. Nobody expected it to. They're gonna bomb it to tell the regime, hey, stop, or I'm just going to do this tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after, and the day fucking after, until I have actually destroyed your thing. Iran then gets to go, okay, well, this is a good reason, we don't really want to fight this, we can back down while still calling America the big Satan. We didn't really lose anything, but, it's a good excuse for peace. Israel as well gets to go, oh, we struck back against Iran, wow, this is really great, we can take this peace too. See, the problem with creating peace is that you have competing interests, and if you ever err too far in opposition to one interest, you will not get peace. Simple as. This is the entire reason why the current Ukraine discussions are set to cede a great deal of territory to Russia, because the Europeans, who have done very little to actually help in this conflict, are like, no, you can't give piece of Ukraine to Russia, you must crush Russia. How? How are you going to crush Russia, Europe? Are you ready to invade? No? You want to bomb them? No? Going to go blockade them? No. Will you at least stop buying gas from them? No? Well, fuck. Okay, then. It's not going to happen then. Simple as. And if you enter into the negotiation saying, Russia, you're going to get nothing and Ukraine is going to get everything, why the fuck would Russia listen to you? What possible reason would they have? They're not going to. They're simply going to go, no, we're deep in Ukraine. We're winning. It's going to take us another 10 fucking years, but we're going to win. It's simply not how negotiations work. And so long as no foreign power is willing to intervene and simply unilaterally crush one side, that's how it's gonna have to be. So yeah, no, the Iran strikes, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. An absolute textbook example of the exact amount of unilateral force applied to create peace. Instead, they gave the Nobel Peace Prize to a woman arguing that the US should invade her country. Brilliant. Oh, McSwordsman, they can understand how the tariffs are supposed to work. They are just enemies in our own ranks who have always argued in bad faith. They are secret communists who have always wanted the US to fail, but more openly now. I mean, you're not wrong, necessarily. You're generally not. But right, okay, enough large-scale politics. Let's talk something a bit more relaxed before we get into the serious nonsense as well. And oh yes, as the quick additional note, the war is probably going to wind down now. Yes, Russia will be given serious territorial concessions. It's just going to happen. But Ukraine will continue to exist, and it would not continue to exist if this peace doesn't happen. So unless, and I'm all for it by the way, if the European Union, excluding Norway because we're not a member of that piece of shit thing, wishes to invade Russia to end the war, go ahead. I am more than happy to sacrifice virtually any number of German or French people for Ukraine. That doesn't bother me. But unless you're willing to do that, well, there you go. There you fucking go. But yes, something less serious now, for once. The worldwide box offices have been kind of fascinating this year. Because, of course, at the very top, with a absolutely ridiculous takeaway of $2.1 billion, stands a Chinese animated film. Ne Zha 2. This is not great. This is not great. So, the West, of course, has been the cultural hegemon for the last, 300-400 years, probably? Like, we're talking back to the 1500s, probably, where we've pretty much been the sole source of, genuine, real, actual culture in the world. We've defined it through our stories, fairy tales, and more recently with things like comic books, video games, and movies. The superheroes of today have become the modern-day mythology of the modern world, created by the West. And for the longest time, all Asia has really been able to do is copy us. Even manga is largely based on Western comics, but with a different art style. Things like the entire isekai trope was done way, way earlier in European folklore. And China, too, has been desperately lagging behind the rest of the world, unable to really create anything that resounds with the wider market. And this is largely because, frankly, their mythology is kind of shit, honestly. It's not great, and it hasn't been done a whole lot of good service in wider entertainment. But with Ne Zha 2, here's the issue. Western entertainment has stagnated for a very long time. This entire art style is basically just Pixar. That's all this is. It's just a Pixar movie, but it's been made in China because there is nothing special about what Pixar does. Their style has no flair. Their stories have no specific soul anymore. Compare modern-day Pixar movies to the animated films of yesteryears, things like The Jungle Book, for example, and you can very clearly tell that these were simply not made with the same amount of glow and passion. It has become soulless. There is no reason why China can't make just as good 3D animated movies as anybody else. There's no restrictions there. There's no creative requirements, really. And China has now very much learned this fact as well. And the fact that it took them this long is kind of surprising. 2025 was in many ways the year that China in particular, with things like Black Myth Wukong and Ne Zha 2, looked over at the West and went, "What? You're weak? We've been scared of you for 200 years. We've been in absolute fucking petrified fright of you for centuries. We genuinely believe that the only way we could possibly compete with you in entertainment was to buy your properties. And we don't? We can just make shit over here for a fraction of the cost and wipe you out of the blow you out of the waters? Well, shit. And this, of course, saw an enormous reinvestment in Chinese entertainment. Investments in Chinese animations, in Chinese games and anime has skyrocketed since China suddenly realized that it can't just compete with the West, it can actually beat the West. And what are we doing? Well, what are we doing on the other side of the pond? We're making Zootopia 2, the silly story about a bunny and a fox fucking. Great. Fantastic. We're making live-action remakes of Lilo and Stitch. We're making a Minecraft movie. Our great contribution is a fat fuck going, "Chicken jockey." And then children throw popcorn at the screen. Or Jurassic World Rebirth. God, that was a fucking terrible movie. Holy shit, that was a bad movie. I watched that, and the entire movie would have been resolved peacefully with 0 casualties if only they'd listened to the evil capitalist. If they'd simply gone, listen, the evil capitalist goes like, "Okay, we've done what we need to do, we can simply leave now." If they'd just done that, nobody would have died. Everything would have been fine. But instead they decided, no. We are going to get loads of us killed by going to this incredibly dangerous place, and we are indeed going to antagonize multiple murderous monsters to chase us down because this is a movie, and that's just what you do. And you have money, therefore you are evil. And, most pointedly at all, Superman number 10, 616 million worldwide. That, of course, was the flop heard around the world right there. And a flop that is going to have severe consequences for entertainment in general. So, personally, I didn't mind Superman. It had massive pacing issues, and he was clearly set in the wrong period, but the idea of a more hopeful Superman, a more like cartoony Superman with the Justice League in the background, I thought all of that was perfectly fine. It was a good movie, but buried under too much grime to truly shine. It had too many layers placed on top of it to allow it to really stand out, because in many ways it wasn't a Superman movie, it was a other people and that guy in blue movie, which wasn't what people went to watch. And with its flop and the general failure of the James Gunn-verse, with Peacemaker also not doing particularly well, and I think his first show, the animated Creature Commando thing, which I also thought was okay, by the way, it aired for free on YouTube in its entirety to less than 300 viewers. The flagship DC animated show of 2025, or was it 2024, I can't remember now, aired for free on YouTube in its entirety to less than 300 people. Ooh. Yeah. Not good. And that is, of course, the reason why right now Warner Brothers is begging Netflix to buy them. Which means that we will literally have like two entertainment companies. We will have Paramount and we'll have Netflix. And that's it. And this is not going to lead to better entertainment, in case anyone was wondering. It's a very bad situation for all of us, and it's probably only going to get worse. So, yeah, the entertainment year of 2025 was not great either. Even if it was shit politically, it was worse for entertainment. See, let me catch up real quick again. Mr. Frenzy, Happy New Year, Arch. Happy New Year's to you too. Will there be a Stamford Bridge stream this week or next? Yes, we have already planned a Stamford Bridge this week, so that should happen. Sandoom, 2025, I stopped caring and just want consequences. Can relate. Johnson Smith, think you missed my super chat or my ears failed. Either way, here's some more money for the Great Dictator Retirement Fund. Great Dictator Retirement. Did I? Let me just scroll up and see. Don't think so. It might not have sent, because I can't see it. Yeah, I can't see it. It might have gone somewhere on the list or get yeeted, or maybe I clicked it by mistake and marked it as red or something. It does indeed happen. Glowy, guilt porn is the most lucrative business in the world. It is time to end this as a business. It's draining the productivity part of society, so it is the world's worst parasite. Worse than most cartels, gangs, just by sheer amount they take in taxes, grants, etc. Yes, NGOs are bad. Joe Smith, wait, is YouTube taking my money, not showing you my super chat? Yes, that is what occasionally happens. Black 917, hail like Christ, our Lord and Saviour. Thank you. Skikito, hopefully the next year will be better. Lol, silly question perhaps. Sorry if it has been answered. Was the calendar completed? Happy New Year. Yes, the old one was, but I didn't do a calendar this year because I want to do a proper calendar next year instead, where I'm actually aiming to have all of them done in the same month so it can actually be a calendar. Counterstructure. On WHO, the United Nations aren't even the first United Nations. A second or a third attempt is natural. That's true. There was the League of Nations before it, which utterly failed. And a Doman, but Arch, the West made Broken Arrow for you. And I do still like it. I want to play some more of that on a stream at some point, but we'll see. I've been enjoying it a bit more recently again, just to play it. But yeah. From one bad news to the other, I also want to talk about, of course, the upcoming conflict between the EU and the United States of America, which will be fascinating. Right now, as the Chinese are gearing up to take on the US over Taiwan, the European Union has decided, what about we attack America first? Well, it will certainly be a surprise, if nothing else. So the EU has been attempting to pressure various American tech firms to introduce censorship. Speaking at the World Economic Forum, Spanish PM Pedro Sanchez demands an end to anonymity on social media under the guise of combating misinformation and hate speech. We must force all these platforms to link every user account to a European digital identity. So, right now, we are having a conflict over who gets to police the internet. I would rather America police the internet because America has been very hands-off so far. And I don't want the European Union to police the internet because they're arresting people for tweets. Simple fucking ass. The European Union must be crushed mercilessly so in this conflict. It is our only hope. Because an internet ruled by the European Union is not an internet. It is a government website. And that's it. That is literally it. It is a government website. Well, which hell can't even just be taken away from you at any moment. It is going to be actively used to build a case against you. Jonathan Smith, okay, here YouTube have the monies, lol. The problem isn't leaders, but us. Trump is the symptom of a lazy culture, begging for a savior instead of doing the hard work, telling truth, and taking the hits ourselves. I mean, true, but it is also a democracy, so you need to elect somebody to fix things. Nick Swordsman, in my town, the one big movie theatre and the packed shopping area in a mall with a lot of foot traffic closed down because it somehow wasn't making money. Except for this Christmas break, most here are either too busy or broke. Well, it's also because nobody wants to see these things. Like, okay, why are you going to go to the movie theatre? To watch another Disney movie? Okay. Is it going to be woke? You don't know before you actually watch it. To watch the Superman with all of the shit marketing? Why would you? To watch F1? Just pirate it or get it on DVD, or when it inevitably ends up on Netflix anyways. Like, there aren't any real movie experiences anymore. Like, Avatar's probably the closest we've got, and that's not really saying much. Like, the movie-going market is kind of dead, both because of how quickly these movies come to streaming, and because, well, watching shit in your home apartment is, well, it's practically as good these days. The entire movie magic has kind of disappeared, or at the very least, the amount of movie magic you can enjoy simply doesn't outweigh the inconvenience of having to get in your car, travel to the movie theater, find parking, go outside, buy overpriced snacks, and then sit in the movie theater as some fat fuck farts loudly in front of you. There aren't any things like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter anymore to really bring people out to the movie theaters. And so, well, the inevitable end will slowly commence. There is, however, also a fair bit of pushback within the EU against the EU's own tyranny, and thank fuck for that. But the European Union is only going to get worse for every year that passes, unfortunately. Even if I wish that was not the case. And the conflict between the EU and the US will be an interesting one, and I hope, I really do, that the US just treats Europe like a second fucking enemy at this point, because that is what they are. No question about it. If you really want to make a move on the European Union, just start denying Twitter access. Find every single politician, okay? What was that Spanish PM? Spanish. Let's see. Ah, okay, here we go. So, right. A country comes out and goes, you shouldn't have freedom of speech. We European Union wish to impose upon you the American company's freedoms. You know what you say then? Elon Musk should simply go, okay, we've heard you, and we are ready to acquiesce to your request. And then delete every single governmental account. Suspend every one of them, every one of their politicians. If a politician argues for the removal of free speech rights on any of these platforms, any hate speech, any digital ID nonsense, anything, delete them from Twitter. Like that. And then watch all of them and go, but how will we reach people? How will we I had hundreds of thousands of followers there. This is unfair. Now my political opponent gets to speak to everyone and I don't? That's unfair. Well, it's a private platform, isn't it? It can do anything it wants, can't it? That is the simple solution to this, and you will see all of them shut up immediately. Problem solved. Zeroxon, EU, UK, and AU are enemies now. Period. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the UK, I would argue, is at least a pinch more friendly. Empty Vein has just learned that there's a number of black Americans that believe that there is a medicine inside glasses. I used to believe everyone was mostly the same, no matter race or culture. I miss my ignorance. I did see that. I hope it was a joke. Pray it was a joke. And Thiago Pereira Silva, that is a name. Despite 1 trillion in aid from the West, per capita GDP in Africa's declined since the 1960s. Probably has something to do with the fact that we've made them all dependent upon those continuous handouts. And glowy. Some manufacturing is coming back, but it's limited and NGOs are fighting it. Might be good to do Disney-style manufacturing counties for limited periods, 50 years maybe. Pollution will still be checked, though Paris Accords give Chinese market dominance. Yes, it does. And it gives it to them via EU fiat, which I don't think anyone has any reason to follow at this point. And let's talk about that a little bit too, because... well, there was another couple of things that happened, of course. So let's get to some of the biggest things, shall we? This is, of course, a picture that everyone knows and remembers, but also a picture that faded from the public consciousness surprisingly quickly, because we've kind of just gotten used to it. We've kind of just accepted that this is the world we live in today. Although you can see, like, there's this grassroot-esque bubbling up of resentment, which we'll get to in a second, but this went around the world. It was one of the biggest social media things of the year, and it had a life cycle of like 15 days, maybe, tops, before it largely disappeared from the public consciousness entirely. And yet, of course, nothing actually happened. Nothing happened here. There were no big changes. Nobody was arrested, despite calls for the judge to be arrested, and he should have been, unquestionably. Like, that person should have been held responsible. The guy who murdered Irenia had been let off, 14 times previously. He had been arrested 14 times and let out time and time again. Let out of the 6-year prison sentence, eventually, until he finally murdered someone. Judges must be held responsible. There must be consequences for activist judges. And frankly, taking away their position is the bare minimum consequence. Getting this guy fired is nowhere near enough. There needs to be criminal prosecutions. If you commit an error that gets another human being killed, we have a legal term for that. It's called involuntary manslaughter, and they should be brought up on those charges. Unquestionably. No doubt in my mind whatsoever. And the reason why this is done is because far too many judges have gotten used to their status of de facto immunity to consequences, where they can do whatever they want and nobody would hold them to any sort of a standard. The justice system doesn't work under these circumstances because the assumption, here's the thing. One of the key assumptions behind the idea of the justice system, the reason why we call the judge your honor, is because that man is supposed to be a demonstrable paragon of virtue and honor. He is supposed to be the personification of the state as an impartial arbiter. That is his duty. And so long as that is actually upheld, that is a beautiful idea, and a functional one too, that has worked well for hundreds of years. But that system is no longer in existence anymore. That man up there is not honorable any longer. And the moment the person in that position, in any way, becomes unsuitable for the title of your honor, they should be let go immediately. And again, that should be the bare minimum punishment for misbehavior as a judge. And if that is too high of a standard, well, luckily, we can replace them all with AI in a few fucking years. And I am genuinely at the point where I say yes, let's just have AI judges, because I don't trust the people anymore. Mario Trujillo, the EU is begging for multiple suns at this point. At this point, America's only ally is Japan, which is an interesting reversal of fortunes. Nicholas Kristoff, Art, we all know politicians won't shut up when faced with adversity. They will double down and change the laws to fit their needs, like they always do. Well, good luck doing it without a social media presence is all I'm saying. Britzman, on a random note, have you heard the 40k song Shake the Earth, an Earthshaker Shanty? On YouTube is the only time I've heard AI song I liked. I can't say I have, no. I don't listen to a lot of music in general, even less AI music. But yeah, the entire Irenia thing just kind of disappeared. It was a horrible act that demonstrated to all of us the state of being that we exist in, but we'd all grown kind of numb to it. Like, there's a man who just brutally murders a woman because of her skin color on public transportation, whereas another half dozen people who share his color sit by and just, wow, that white girl is bleeding to death. How very tragic, and continues on their fucking commute. And one of the reasons why this isn't the biggest event of the year is, of course, that soon thereafter we received an even more direct and strident reminder of the society we live in with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Which, again, like, even the media simply refers to it as an assassination now. Everyone has fully accepted that this was a straight up-and-up political assassination by the left on one of their opponents in broad daylight. And what has happened from it? Virtually nothing. There was a brief, beautiful moment of right-wing cancel culture, which we need so much more of, where an unified internet rose up and said, no, you don't get to be left-wing fuckfaces for another month. Shut up. And even then, the consequences were merely felt on a personal level. Like, Jimmy Kimmel should have been kept offline permanently, especially as when he came back, he actually lied about what he'd done and proceeded to move on as if nothing had happened, because that is how thick the shield protecting the liberal intelligentsia is. And God, the coverage after it too. Some Americans worry about threats of political violence after Charlie Kirk's death. Really? Really? Some Americans worry about political violence after a political assassination. At least this, like, 73% respond believe political violence was a major problem. Correct. Correct. It's... the left is actively being the aggressor. Okay, there's no question about it. It's only going to escalate over the next 3 years. I have no doubt about it whatsoever. None, not a single doubt whatsoever. And if the left manages to regain political power, which there is every possibility they will, the consequences to the right wing will be cataclysmic. Okay? All of the things that we are urging Trump to do, but the conservatives don't have the balls to do, the left wing will do. All of the left-wing memes about right-wing death squads come about because that is their deepest desire, okay? As fucking demonstrated. And yet, unfortunately, again, the right is incapable of fucking doing anything, of unifying for anything, of making a common frontage, even in the most ridiculous of circumstances. Nicholas Quiztov, what we need to unite the people to fix these problems, another major personality. As we said, the personality like those of World War II, hiccups, and others need to shake their foundations of a nation. Rasmus, you mentioned the skin tone was flipped. Weeks of BS, yes. Like Swordman, all of this bullshit some days make me wish for Roman peace, yes. But the right then immediately set about tearing itself apart. Like with an alacrity that is fucking disturbing. There was like a week of unity. I remember all of the right-wing commentators were like, wow, this has united the right. Finally, we're all on the same side. We all looked at this man be shot through the neck and realized that could be me. We must make common cause. And 2 weeks later, did you know that Charlie Kirk was assassinated by Israel? And it only got worse. It actually somehow only got worse. In fact, a lot of the people... holy shit. Okay, let me... Look at this. Alex Jones guest, top lawyer Robert Barnes says Candace Owens is running a CIA-style PSYOP in a coordinated disinformation campaign designed to run cover for deep state Trans-Tifa Mark MK Ultra programs. How many conspiracy theories deep are we even? Like, you don't need to fucking come up with a complicated solution for this, okay? You don't need to, dream up all kinds of crazy nonsense. You don't gotta, come up with the deep state, the Trans-Tifa, Israel, blah, blah, blah. All of this is utterly fucking irrelevant. The only thing that matters is that the left is violent. It is that the left wishes to politically assassinate its opposition and must be crushed. I don't give a fuck which facet of the left must be crushed. I want all of it destroyed. And if you put yourself in between the dozer and the left, then by fucking God, may you be flattened too. To pivot this in a nicer direction, we all need to be more like Blue Archive, okay? Take inspiration from Blue Archive, all right? That's what we need. So, in case you're unaware, Blue Archive is a mobile Japanese gacha game with lots of little lolly characters in it. It released on Steam recently. I tried it for a bit, found it to not really be to my liking at all, and quit within like 2 hours. It just wasn't charming in the kind of gacha games that I like, so meh. But it has been an absolute virtuose in the art of gatekeeping and shielding its community from any outside interference. When the developers themselves looked at the internet and went, wow, these VTuber things are really popular. Maybe we should reach out to some of them and see if they want to advance our game. So they reached out to Giguk, Zentreya, Iron Mice, and Sea Dog as sponsored Twitch streamers with drops for the game. Then, the fans in a fit of unified rage went, fuck these fake gamer girl cunt waffles, kill, and throw them out of the community. And the company themselves are like, okie dokie then. Right, we won't do that again. Correct. As well, I've only seen the periphery on this, but there was like Sea Dog in particular has been anti the material found in the game, not enough to reject money for it though, of course. Like most of these streamers are like, lolly, isn't that just pedophilia? Ooh, $5,000 you say? Well, pedophilia rocks for $5,000 apparently. And they're right on the bandwagon because these people have no personalities, they have no opinions, they have no firm foundation of anything other than I would like to earn more money please. And the Blue Archive community has managed to gatekeep excessively effectively against these threats. And if only all of us could do the same, can you imagine how different the world would have been if in 2014 every time the feminists tried to get into a fandom, they were just met with, "No, I hate you. I fucking hope you rot. You're a terrible human being. Go die in a hole on the other side of the planet, please." Oh, it would have been beautiful. It would have been fantastic. We would have still had 40k. We would have still had DC and Marvel. Everything would have been good and bright and beautiful, and the feminists would have been over there, complaining to a politician somewhere. Oh, paradise fucking lost. Paradise lost indeed. Also, speaking of paradise lost, the big gaming success that was Battlefield 6 apparently managed to shoot itself in the foot by releasing a free version of itself, which ate all of its player numbers. That's funny. It's not really related to anything particular this year. I just think that's funny. I just think that's a funny little tidbit right there to add in. That's all. Empty variants. I wouldn't say nothing happened after Kirk. My dad's been asking me about AR-15s and is buying his first gun. My mum is also pushing him to do it. Oh, so we will touch upon that, because there is one interesting thing that kind of happened, right? Which is quite widespread, right? Night Shroud. The failure of the unity of the right was because of Candace Owens. I agree. Or at least he was one of the sources. So, Florida man, the right in America has two states of being: Chamberlain or the scene from Downfall. Yeah. We need more Cromwell. That's what we need. Mr. Personality, that's going to be clipped out of context. Mr. X81, martial law is coming for us, Arch, and I, for one, welcome it. Maybe then the cultural changes back to better, even if it has to be by force. Actually, we will mention on that as well a little bit later on. Mercenary 10, Dog, so Trump will institute martial law, and I can't wait for it, Arch. I'm hoping and praying for full-on military lockdown of the US. The biggest white pill I can pray to God for. Minifrego. I would prefer Minifrego. I like Minifrego in comparison. But one thing that was deeply fascinating to me is... So, 2025 was in many ways the year that we invented a new beautiful term. Black fatigue. I'd like to extend that into simple diversity fatigue. As many people, many places, many countries have simply grown fucking tired of all of it. Which is, I want to play you this thing here from Sadiq Khan, the most diverse governor of an English colony ever, a Pakistani governor of the English colonial state, owned largely by Indian Pakistan.
I want to wish everyone celebrating in London and around the world a very Merry Christmas. For our Christian brothers and sisters, this is a deeply holy day. But no matter our religion, Jesus' story offers lessons for us all. He taught us to love and forgive without exception, and to open our hearts and doors to those who are different from us.
Ah, yes. Hello, Christians. Your God told you to forgive the grooming gangs. Yes, so what if we're raping your children? Your Jesus says that's okay. Furthermore, I am bringing over another 5 million of my Pakistani brethren to fuck your daughters, and your God tells you to open your doors to them.
This Christmas, that lesson feels more important than ever.
Yes, I know I've said that every last Christmas the last 10 years, but this year it's very important, because more and more of my crimes are coming to light. So, unless you want to be a bad Christian, turn the other cheek as the big brown man cockslaps you.
The last year hasn't always been easy.
Grooming gangs on the rise. Violent crime and terrorism increasing every single day.
But as some have sought to divide us,
The people who look upon our criminal ways and goes out.
Londoners have stood together.
The brainwashed masses of majoritively non-English people have renounced whiteness and gathered around my glorious message of abuse
And
whitey.
we've stayed true to the values which make us who we are.
Non-English.
For most of us, Christmas is a time to pause and reflect.
On how deeply fucked we all are.
A moment to step away from the hustle and bustle of daily life. For some Londoners, though, the work won't stop. I want to say a special thank you to all the people who are
All of the
keeping
white servile
capital
class.
running. You are London at its very best. As we look to the year ahead,
Because you go to work, my Somali friends can live happy, pleasant lives on your holiday. And this post right here, and of course, this is the entire establishment. The king, too, of course, made a speech saying the exact same thing about how Christmas isn't your holiday. It's everybody else's holiday. You must open your heart to another million illegals. You must forgive and forget the crimes committed against you. You must simply accept that you are a third-class citizen in your own nation, and fewer people are willing to become the... And is this not the perfect image as well? Like, is this not the perfect fucking image? Is this not the absolute ideal image with which to describe our current fucking world? It's absolutely perfect in every respect. There is the diversity. It is ordering the new generation, hey, cookies, please. Hey, you, father, order your child to work faster. Oh, and by the way, could your husband give me a back rub whilst I'm busy ordering you around? Oh, by the way, my cousins will be coming over. Make sure your other kid is ready for them as well. We must be about to reach a fucking breaking point, I swear to God. Like, okay, the blowback from all of this, like, for so many years, I've just been thinking, like, okay, well, there's gonna be turning around, and I think 2024 and 2025 was for many people perceived as the year we kind of won, right? When people began checking out a little bit of politics. I noticed it, I thought it as well. Like, okay, well, Trump is in office, everything is getting better, he's passing all of these laws and legislation, he's clamping down on wokeness, he's cancelling DEI programs, and he's crushing NGOs. Finally, it's over. Culture has begun to turn, we can see it, entertainment, gaming is beginning to heal, if only partially, as is TV and movies. A lot of people kind of just leant back and like, okay, whew, we're finished now. It's done. Everything's okay. No. I think 2025 had demonstrated that we're not done. It's not over. Nothing's fucking over yet. We're only going to continue to double down as the left gets more and more desperate. It will get worse before it gets better. And the inevitable, eventual backlash to all of this must be apocalyptic. I cannot see any other outcome of a generational abuse gap like this, of literally hundreds of thousands, millions of people having been systemically victimized by their own government in the name of foreign powers for decades. But at the same time, I mean, we read an article a while ago where even the people who were like, yeah, no, I've been fucked by diversity. I was kept down so that other people who didn't look like me were advanced ahead of me. Even in that article, it's like, oh, well, I never blamed the people who took my job. I never blamed the people who replaced me. I never blamed the guy who was hired purely for his skin color. It's like, I wonder if we've reached a state of cuckening so deep and complete that there simply is no recovery. I mean, if you have arrived at this position, is there anything to be done? Can anything be done when this is where we are? But yeah, no. There's just been a general amount of diversity fatigue going about. Let me show you this clip too, which is just fascinating for me.
Vi får 5 børn, I får 1 og 2. Om 10-15 år, så er der flere pakker, end der er danskere i det her land. Ja, Rasmus. Gå og fød lidt børn, mand. Jeg er lige blevet gift. Jeg skal så 5 børn i morgen. Gå og fød flere børn, mand. Danskerne er 5 millioner, I bliver snart udryddet, mand. Kig på svenskerne, kig på nordmændene, kig på finnerne, mand. Vi er flere millioner, mand. I er i et samfund, der ikke laver, I ligger og boller dyr. Det er derfor, I ikke har fået børn, mand. Har du brødre? Har du søstre? Har du brødre eller søstre? Har du brødre eller søstre? Har du brødre eller søstre, mand? De forældre, de knæppe dyr, mand. Det er derfor, de knæppe hinanden. De kunne give dig en bror og en søstre, mand. Vi er kun 5 millioner, I bliver aldrig mere, mand. I skal fucking skamme. Hvor er søsteren igen? Hvor er søsteren lige om lidt? Lille luder. Men de mor kommer igen. Hvor er søster? Søster! Ikke en brønd. Dansker svin. Danmark og danskere. Fuck de mor, mand. Det er ikke Danmark. Det er Perkerland. Det er Perkerland. Perkerland.
Hvorfor skal jeg tilføje noget? Det
er Perkerland, det her.
And as a Norwegian, I do understand Danish. The subtitles are correct. This is a bunch of immigrants shouting at the Danes, saying, we're going to outbreed you, we're going to replace you, we are going to destroy you, we are going to take over your country, there's nothing you can do about it, and we are going to exterminate you. Not being subtle about it. Nothing about this is complicated. Nothing about this is hard to understand. They're telling you. And yet, we've somehow, like, you know what? I have a perfect little GIF. I have a perfect little GIF that just illustrates, a picture says more than 1,000 words, and I think this will hammer it home adequately. Wash yourself in the cow piss. But why? Cow piss is not very clean. You don't want to offend the native, do you? The native wisdom says that you wash your hands in the cow piss. Oh, well, I guess I'm washing my hands in cow piss then. That is how we arrived at this point. That's how we got here. That's literally how we got here. The entire idea that we approach a person who lives on the same level as fucking Stone Age Neanderthals, and we believe that that individual has something to teach us. Doesn't. Genuinely fucking doesn't. He actually does not have anything to teach us, and we simply have to accept that fact. And, of course, the barometer of the normies have also fully understood this as well. This is what they need to do. They need to take all the people, even if they're citizens, they need to denaturalize them and send them back where they come from. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want my tax dollars to pay for these parasites to sit in prison all day. Yes. This is becoming more and more common. More and more people are simply getting fucking sick of diversity. And why wouldn't they? What possible reason wouldn't they? Before Pierce. Or Chigador grants 5 Archcast memberships. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. What was I? There. Counter-Strike took right, wrong. Jesus forgives the repented. There you go. Or Chigador. Such an amazing translation. I know. God forgives, and it's up to you to be the travel agent arranging the meeting, says the DCV Titan. This personality of Vladimir the Impaler did nothing wrong. He did not. He did nothing wrong. And Mecha Swordsman, letting one's guard down like this is how one snatches defeat from the jaws of victory. But the left are zealots and will never give up. True. You gotta understand, they believe genuinely so that they are the only force for good in the universe. And if they are defeated, nothing awaits us but an eternity of darkness and damnation. McWild sends 100 kicks on Kick. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Here's that itching. And this also culminated in this fascinating thing. So you may all remember this. The Rochester racial slur video incident. Remember that one? What was the name of the woman? Let's see. Can I Google that? I am worried about clicking on pictures. There we go. Right. This was one of those moments of genuine black fatigue, where a woman is being harassed by the diversity. The diversity is right there in the playground harassing her and her child. And she looks the diversity right in the face and speaks the word of banishment, the word of destruction, the word of universal repellent. Because it is the only thing she's got at that moment. It is the last vestige of hope and offense that she's got left. And so she reaches back in the vault and grabs it up. And what happened to her? Any other year, 2024, 23, 2014, God help you, she would have been fired. She would have been arrested. She would have been societally destroyed on every conceivable level. But this time, she gained $600,000 in support instead. Oh, actually, no, $700,000 instead. Now, of course, the diversity said they wanted Hendricks to be prosecuted if possible. Of course, and no doubt local law enforcement will do their best to acquiesce to the demands of the diversity. But with nearly $1 million, she's got something to fight it with. And, of course, a more recent example, the Minnesota daycare scandals. Now, $4 million in state funding and a misspelled sign found with no kids inside as lawmakers demand answers from Tim Waltz. So, a YouTuber here, Nick Shirley, went around to various daycare centers that were run and operated by Somalis, and he found no evidence of any actual activity at these centers, despite millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in public funding going into them. This, obviously, was simply a case of very large-scale fraud. That's all it was. It's fraud. Simple as. But the government rubber-stamped it because the applicant was the correct color. There was already ongoing investigations into these daycare centers, and actions are being taken. Some arrests are being made. Whether or not there will be true consequences from this, who even knows, right? Because the problem is, this isn't the problem of the fraud itself. That's the complicated part. I obviously want the guy that created the fraudulent center to be imprisoned. But even then, what's going to happen then? Okay, you put the man in jail. Can he pay back the $4 million? Of course not. He's already spent it. It's already gone. He's sentenced to his family in Somalia. Okay, so you're just going to keep him in jail then and feed him, housing him, warming him for another 4 or 5 years, and then you're going to let him out and he's going to do it all again. fucking perfect. No. What needs to happen here is that the people who approved the centers, they need to be held responsible. Tim Waltz needs to be held responsible. The bureaucrat who rubber-stamped this needs to be held responsible. This is negligent use of public funds, and that needs to be a greater crime than anything fucking else. In my ideal universe, we would punish murder with, like, 50 years in prison. You know, an opportunity to get out after serving enough time to the point of you're old and infirm. Murder to the more extreme degree, yep, we just kill you. Just, there you go. But for misuse of federal funds, you are to be tied to a rock on a sunny cliff as specially trained condors arrive every dawn to peck at your guts, trained only to eat exactly what they need for nourishment, fat and happy, so as to draw out the punishment for, I hope, at least 5 days. I pray for more, but 5 days is the bare minimum we must expect. That needs to be the base punishment for this. And we can, you know, up it, because I do understand that some of you may view that as a pinch too merciful and lenient, and I too can see that line of reasoning, but as a ground-level principle, I think it's a firm one. As this is, we have no idea how much money. We have no fucking clue. If one singular incident was $4 million, how many others could there be? And this is just daycare centers. How many other forms of public services have been abused in this way? The entire system, in almost certainty, is rotten throughout. Otherwise, this couldn't have happened to begin with. A functional governmental system would not be granting $4 million to an empty daycare center. There would be people visiting it to go, hello, I'm from the government. Do you have children here? It's a lot of adult Somalis. It's a bit weird. Where are the kids? There needs to be actual control of some of this. And, of course, the diversity exhaustion continues. Oklahoma City BLM leader charged with wire fraud, money laundering, in alleged $3.15 million embezzlement scheme. Listen. This is just what they do. It's that simple. It's not even a racial thing. It's a morals thing. It is art. It is something they believe to be correct. They take from the white man because the white man is evil. They commit no moral ill in embezzling the white man. This is simply how they are raised. It is how they are trained. It is how they think. And the sooner we recognize that fucking unavoidable fact, the sooner we can get to my preferred fashion of administrative punishment of incompetent bureaucrats. Simple as. Simple, simple, simple as. Ugh. Timothy LaRue, my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, need to stand in Romania. 29, abhor what evil is, what is evil? Stand fast to what is good. Visceral rejection of wickedness. Nicholas, the damage to Denmark, Norway, and Sweden is done. There's nothing we can do to change it since they've already been given citizenship. Ship is sailed. Ah. But you see, we can denaturalize people, and every year I grow more pro that position. Tiogo Operazio Sancho Silva, fall of the Portuguese Empire was the worst thing that happened in sub-Saharan Africa. Yes. Deluxon, give me your best US white pill before I become a mass crafter. Well, we actually have one coming up. Pudding Simon, we need Mongol solutions. Sujad, Shiloh has been charged. She will need to go to jail for about a year. Oh, well, of course. Of course, obviously. She called... And so obviously she has been charged and found guilty of saying words in public. Sluxon, no base punishment is shapeism. Scapism? Really, would love to see you do a playthrough of Little Games team called Not For Broadcast. We do have a fund for that going, so I guess I'll add the membership to it. There we go. Yeah. Mr. Next, DOGE, you're not going far enough with punishment. It needs to be on the level far worse than that. Even the 9th level of hell itself under the devils. And Mr. Personality, honey and milk boats in Florida swamps with IV antibiotics and saline. I like the way you think, but here's the white pill, okay? So something good did happen. Trump, rather famously, decided to deploy federal law enforcement and military to several US cities. Just put the police on the streets and lock the fuck down. Too many scoundrels. And what happened? What was the result of this? What do you think happened? What do you think when law enforcement was actually present, oppressively so, on the streets of America's most diverse cities? Just in, US murder rate in 2025 is on pace for the largest single-year decline ever recorded. Wow. Imagine that. Imagine fucking that. Making criminals afraid to go out and do crime discourages crime. Wow. We are learning so many brand new things as a civilization, aren't we? We truly are. We truly are. Jay McWild sent 100 warp tokens. Thank you very much, sir. The lessons of civilization dearly relearned. And, you know what? There's a fine argument. I want you to just listen to this one too, real quick, and see if you can vibe with some of it.
Is it good that women can vote in America? I don't think so, and here's why. Nearly every legalized moral atrocity of the last 100 years was made possible by the female vote. Abortion and homosexuality would likely still be illegal if not for the female vote. Mass immigration and the welfare state rode on the backs of the female vote. Nearly every modern Democrat, including Obama and Biden, were elected because of the female vote. Even last night, the new Muslim New York City mayor, Mondami, won specifically because of the female vote. The 19th Amendment has been a moral and political tragedy for America, but why? Women were not made to lead, but to follow and to feel. This is God's design, and it's good within the family and the household. But emotions cannot be what is used to rule and govern a nation. Statistically and generally speaking, women vote for whatever feels most kind or peaceful or safe to their emotions. Women crave security and comfort, and whoever promises those things wins their loyalty. The problem is evil men know this, and they exploit it. For example, women are twice as likely to men to be seduced into an affair. They are 26% more likely to be financially scammed online. They are 3 times more likely to fall prey to psychics and tarot card readings and astrology and mediums. The same emotional vulnerability that shows up there also shows up in politics. Many call it suicidal empathy. So I believe that we should return to the household vote, where women share their thoughts with their fathers or their husbands, and the men in their life make the final decision. Men are not perfect, but they are far more fit to rule with logic, and they are less likely to be deceived in political matters. So I don't believe that we should repeal the 19th Amendment because I don't love women. I believe we should repeal the 19th Amendment because I love America, and I love American women enough to protect them and our nation from their political exploitation.
Well, was there a single thing in there that was wrong? Okay, I'm not quite at this point just yet, but I am absolutely at the point where I do believe that some form of limitation on the franchise needs to happen. That just it seems indisputable at this point. We have too many people voting in ways that are demonstrably damaging to our society. That is demonstrably damaging to democracy, to our way of life, to our entire fucking hemisphere, to our Earth. We must change something. I'm still not entirely sure what. Honestly, I'm leaning more and more towards some form of a wealth or landed vote, honestly, because you need an investment within the society to be able to determine anything for that society. Obviously, this will lead to exclusion of one kind or another, and no form of exclusion is perfect. But I think we have also demonstrated without the fucking shadow of a doubt that universal inclusion is equally, if not indeed more so, flawed. So there's a white pill for you as well. Oh god, yeah, okay. So, on a personal whining note, as the man who makes YouTube videos for a living complains of 2025, he must of course also argue or point out that the algorithm this year was fucking atrocious. This has been the worst year on YouTube for virtually everyone on YouTube. Myself included. Everyone I've talked to has never had worse years, never had lower views, never had lower exposure, never had lower income, etc. It has just been a universal shithole across the entire platform. Like, even the massive people have noticed a serious drop-off over the course of the last year, and this is due to YouTube's new algorithms, which probably has something to do with their new embrasure of AI and AI moderation as well. Which leads us neatly into the real topic, AI. We are so fucked. We are so fucked. We are so fucked. I don't know if I even need to say anything beyond that. I think that pretty much illuminates the entire argument perfectly. Oh, let's see on the women. So looks like look up escapism now. No, I've learned better. Night Shroud and then the guardsmen were unalived. Justin Michaels, Hail Arch 2025 has been decent for me. I recently had a child and got married. Congratulations, sir. I agree the left needs to be smashed. I do not want my daughter to inherit the world and the trajectory we have today. It does. Varanganath, Polish housing market is already ruined for us by Norwegians and Germans. We have Ukrainians. If Danes are going to move next, we might lose it. Yes, you are the victims of the success of the third world. As more and more affluent first worlders realize that their countries are selling them down the river, we are moving to your countries. Because to us, you fuckers live cheap. Justin Michaels, following my last super chat. Any advice on how to do more? Want to make sure my children have a better future and life than myself. Would like to start a channel, but deployments might make that difficult. And all chats to Songs of Six fund. Oh, don't worry, you don't need to fund that. I'm going to play that regardless, because I fucking love it. But to do more, it's simply voting. It is engaging in political discussions with friends and family, making the argument in public. And if that means also making a YouTube channel, then perfect. Or making the argument wherever you are, in the spaces you are, in the military, if that's where you are, etc. Just making it publicly known that leftism is no longer popular is the most effective thing we can do. Now, Shroud, service guaranteeing citizenship. Did I get the right audio? That is Starship Troopers. Blade Warrior, only net taxpayers should vote. I mean, that would be a one base limitation here. Mike Merchant, I find myself leaning more to the Starship Troopers model. Service guarantees citizenship. And Nicholas, Starship Troopers, citizens through service. If you don't have an investment, you don't qualify for standing within the nation. Yep, something like that, definitely. So, I'm not going to go too far on AI because we don't know what's going to happen, and every prediction on AI has been wrong. So why should I be any different? But we are now entering a period where AI fakes are becoming damn near impossible to separate from reality. To the point where one of the world's largest producers of misinformation, China, is beginning to go, wow, this is fucked up. Yes, it is. AI is currently going to crash our economic market. It's going to drive up the cost of PC components enormously. Companies have already reported that they will be cutting down their production of civilian PC components in order to focus more on AI data centers, which will see a huge increase in the amount of energy we require, which is going to start overloading our already overstressed energy grid, not to mention the fact that we're not producing enough energy to begin with, and that we are still stuck on the idiocy of green energy instead of using the magic rock to boil water, like we fucking should. AI is going to do serious damage to the fabric of our society, our social trust, our ability to believe anything on the internet, social cohesion, our economy, our personal freedoms via the internet and computers. Oh boy. We're going to need laws regulating AI. We are. But the problem is we obviously can't have any rules that stagnate us in comparison to Asia. We cannot allow China to gain an advantage on what is going to be probably a decisive strategic tool for the next 100 years. So we're kind of locked in a position now where we can't escape. We're heading down this rabbit hole, no matter what. We can't go out of it, we can't back out of it, we can't escape it. We are stuck in the gravitic spiral, and all we can really hope for is that it won't be as bad as we think it's going to be. Which is wonderful. Which is absolutely wonderful. And that means that I can wrap up today's stream with one final bit of good news. A very relevant bit of good news. A supermassive black hole is on collision course with the Milky Way galaxy. Somehow that feels fitting. Somehow that just, yes. Somehow that just feels correct right now. That seems like a good thing to end 2025 on, doesn't it? Now don't worry, it's gonna be here in like a billion years or something, so, you know, we're not in any immediate danger, but it feels right, doesn't it? This long, painful year of setbacks, of horror, of getting used to horror, of viewing horror as just another day. Okay, so a hot Ukrainian chick got her throat torn open on the subway. It's Tuesday. What were you expecting? Oh, a prominent right-wing political commentator who went around colleges arguing with people, promoting free debate on a tour literally called Prove Me Wrong, got shot through the neck by a left-wing ideologue? It must be Wednesday. It all works out very well, with just a final reminder that yes, in a few billion years, a galactic globular of infinite destruction is just gonna crush everything. Yeah, it fits. It fits. It really does. Nicholas, that is perfect fodder for the fearmongers. Yes, obviously it's retarded, because it's going to be here in billions of years, but it just feels fitting. And hell, we don't even know if it's actually gonna hit us. We've detected evidence that there might be a black hole heading in our direction. So John, missed my last chat. Why are streamers now at 720 instead of 1080p? Phoenix Point, Unreal, Gears, Tactics, and Worms. They shouldn't be. No, they shouldn't be. Mix Swordsman, God exists. He answered the prayer for the black hole. He did indeed. Sujard. Did I miss your last one, Sujard? Did I? Scrolling. Shiloh has been charged. He will need to go to jail for about a year. You know, I got that one. I got it. I got that one. I saw it. I saw it. I think the sun will go out sooner. Yes, chat. It probably will, so you don't need to worry about it. But it should be in 1080. Unless the internet is simply being overloaded today, which is also entirely possible. Now, I just hope that the supermassive black hole is actually a creature, because if we are going to all be devoured, I would like for my billionth level descendants to be eaten by a cool space monster, rather than just, a gravitic anomaly. Boo, climate change is the blame for that black hole. Probably is. And Decadanska, Google blocked my super chat. Have this. Thank you. And remember, Kick exists. Kick is way better on every single level, and you want it. Marksman, Arch, did you hear that you made a cameo in Asmongold video? Your stream showed up on this stream feed of X. It was the Milking Farm stream. You went, nope. You're getting famous, Arch. Speaking of degeneracy, for the Friendship Fund. Thank you. Yes, I did see that. For a moment, 40,000 people almost knew about Arch, but sadly, it was the stream where Lum Lum was talking about drinking coom. And I think Mal was right there too, arguing that maybe it wouldn't be so bad to simply just drown in it. As per fucking you. 720p, okay. I'll need to look into that, if I can fix it and how. Right, and that pretty much sums up 2025, I think. It was quite the year, mostly bad, some good, and some hope for the future. Although I do imagine that politically things are going to get worse. Entertainment, TV and movies are going to get worse. But at least gaming is showing some signs of recovering. So hey, at least we'll have some escapism for when the black hole arrives, and that, at the end of the day, is something. Oh, and Pakelda, CNN actually asked Bill Nye if a close passing asteroid was caused by climate change. Of course they did. And Chloe, AI companies should be required in videos, pictures, etc. should have watermarks, pixel mark by law, especially for deepfakes. All news must be verified. Videos, pictures, etc. they use aren't fake. All videos evidence should be verified too. Analog makes a comeback. Yes, there does need to be some form of official control, so that all AI pictures must be water stamped or something if it shows real life events. That should be a requirement. I don't know how to make it one, or how to do it effectively, or how to do it so you can't simply ask the AI to remove it again, etc. But something like that, yes. Alright. Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you for your generous donations, and Happy New Year to everyone. I hope that your 2026 is a hell of a lot better than your 2025.